Yes, and that is the secret to, I think, the high retention. We're dealing in our office with about 90% retention. And a lot of the people that we lose, unfortunately, we do lose due to death.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today. I'm super excited to have this guest on my podcast. We actually have a lot of history, and it was great to get to reunite with Clarissa Gonzalez. Clarissa has been in the business for the last 20 years, serving in the senior insurance niche. And I'm excited because we're going to talk about a topic that I think is very important to a lot of agents who have a misunderstanding about a huge demographic in this market, which is not only in the senior insurance market, but the dual eligible market, which is the people who qualify for Medicaid and Medicare. So Clarissa, thank you for being on here with me today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited that we got to reunite. I love these events because you get to see people that you haven't seen in years. I mean, It's been years.
Yeah,
so.
It's wild. So I want them to hear a little bit about you. I can obviously go on and on about my experience and how amazing it's been with you, but I want you to tell them a little bit about the growth that you've had in those last 20 years because you're doing some amazing things. So currently, how many offices do you have?
7.
7 offices, and they're all spread out throughout Texas, right?
They're all spread out throughout Texas. Well, we were mostly in South Texas, but now we're moving on to the Houston market. So, we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, perfect. So you're not done. You're trying to expand even more. You're trying to open up more offices, right?
Yes, we're licensing outside of Texas, so that's the nice part about everything, that there's a lot of things that we can do in-house, even in Texas, for other states.
Yeah, so ultimately you have this amazing blueprint where you're able to scale what you're doing because you have systems and processes in place that are easily repeatable and allowing you to be able to grow the way you're growing. So I want to give you kudos for that.
Well, being an agent now is a lot simpler than being an agent 20 years ago because you're talking about technology and all these different systems that are in place now. If we would have had that 20 years ago, I mean, the good thing is that we have it now and we're able to use it and scale from there. Yeah,
it's a whole different ball game. People say a lot of times, man, I would hate to be an agent starting today, and I'm laughing at that because I'm like, I would love to have started today. I started 16 years ago. Everything was still paper. We had nothing close to the technology we have now to help us out.
We had to fax the paper apps.
Oh my God! It was y'all don't know. If you've gotten in the business in the last 5 years, y'all don't even know. So I want to talk a little bit about the market though that you mainly serve, the dual eligible market.
Right.
There's a lot of misconceptions about it, and I want to try to help dispel those with you because one of them is that the market moves a lot. They basically say, I'm not going to spend time focusing on that market or servicing that market because I feel like the business will just flip in 3 months.
Right. Well, we all know that the dual eligible market has an SEP that they can use every quarter. And so a lot of folks say, well, I don't want to have to deal with my business flipping every quarter or having to fight for that. And reality is that you don't have to fight for that. You don't have to worry about that business flipping if you are doing the right thing. It all comes down to education, and it all comes down to that agent writing that app, making sure that person in front of them knows, and not just that person in front of them, but their child, maybe somebody, their power of attorney, or someone within that household that knows the importance of having you as their agent.
Yes. So even with doing that, because I agree 100%, that's such an important factor. But even with doing that, how often would you say you need to still keep in touch with those clients so that they don't get, they don't get tempted to move the next time somebody comes in and says, hey, I can get you $500 more of dental if you move with me in this plan? Like, how often do you need to touch with them?
So I'll tell you what we do. We actually have systems in place, and I know like the regular agent, like the one-person agent can't, or maybe might be thinking, well, that may be too hard for me to do now. But if you do it the right way, or if you split your time the right way, your business will grow and the referrals will come in, and you've helped this person, now you're going to help their neighbor and their cousin and their, so it happens that way. If you do things the right way, you'll be able to do that. So we can contact, we'll be calling our client and say, hey, have you ordered from your catalog? Or, hey, do you need help with transportation? Or when's your next doctor's appointment? Would you like for me to book your dentist appointment? Would you like for me to book your eye exam? And so we're actually going the extra mile to be able to retain our business, because anybody can sell, but can you retain?
Right. That's 100%.
So we actually keep in contact with these folks on a monthly, almost even quarterly basis, because they need to remember who you are. One of the biggest things that happens almost on a daily basis in our office is people coming in saying, hey, I need help, and they're already on a plan, and they're probably on the best plan for that specific market. So we're not going to move them, and we're going to say, well, where's your agent? And they say, we haven't heard from this person, or we don't even remember who this person is, and that's the problem. Because if you are writing business and the person that you're writing can't remember you 4 months from the day that you wrote them, then you're going to lose that business, whether it be a Mets-up or a dual snip, or anything like that, because I'm going to come back around and say, hey, let's see what we can do for you. I'm going to be the agent that's going to be there for you, and I'm going to create value for that person.
Yeah.
Whereas that value is going to be a lot bigger than, hey, you know what, staying on that particular plan that they may or may not have. One of the things that we do in our office, we have the agent of record form. Somebody comes into my office looking for help and they cannot find their agent, I'm going to say, you know what, sign here. We will service you, but we will be your agent of record.
Right. Basically, the other agent has dropped the ball. You have no clue who they are.
We have no clue who they are. And forget we don't have clue who they are. The client doesn't have clue who they are.
Right. That's what. Yeah, and that's what I meant. Yeah, the client has no clue who their agent was anymore because they never kept in touch. And that happens a lot in our industry because there's such a strong focus on just growth through writing new business that they don't really, they just hope the other stuff stays, right? It's just, it's really a hope and pray.
It's like grabbing a whole bunch of things and throwing it across the wall and see what's going to stick, and that's not the way you should be writing.
Right.
You should be writing to where a person is going to find you of value enough to send you referrals, to send you to their closest friends.
Yeah.
That, that trust that you built, that's probably the most important thing in this industry, because not only are you there to provide guidance, you're there to provide education, you're there to provide, the different type of information that someone that perhaps maybe is not versed enough in Medicare. I mean, just imagine this, a 70-year-old at home or an 80-year-old at home having to fill out all these applications, having to keep up with the ordering from the catalog, and some of these people don't have a child or a neighbor or someone they're all alone. You are what they have.
Yeah.
So you need to be present for them. Be present for your client. Be that extra help that your client wants to help.
Yeah, and you also done a great job. Because really, when and I mentioned it yesterday in my talk, that client retention, a lot of it has to be with, it has to do with branding, right? That's what you do. You got to stay top of mind with your clients, and you've done a good job of that. Tell them, so you have a kind of like a name, right, that you go by.
Well, I own a radio station. Besides being an insurance agent, I own a radio station, and I also own a newspaper periodical that prints every week. And so I use that because I figured, well, I'm not going to be paying, I'm saving money by owning my own things, so to speak, I guess.
I'm saving money by just owning the radio station.
Yes.
That's a baller right there, right?
So, my radio station's name is La Pistolera, which means the gunslinger. I do come from South Texas, and I have a little figurine that was actually drawn by a friend of mine who works for Pixar. So it kind of looks like a Disney little princess, but
it's a little caricature.
Yeah, it's not a Disney princess. It was just drawn by someone who works for Pixar.
It's a Disney badass. That's what it is. She's just like, she's a gunslinger.
I want Disney coming after me, but
she's a gunslinger.
Yeah, she's a gunslinger. She has a little revolver, and I see it this way. It's like, we're from the ranch, and there's a snake, and you should, that's a kind of. It's not like any other type of, I don't know. Not like,
but it's good.
Mafia stuff.
But
It's just like a gunslinger.
Yeah, and it's like, and especially in the Hispanic community, to have a name recognition like La Pistolera. Okay, yeah, I hear that all the time.
And the thing is that I'm not La Pistolera, but everybody now calls me La Pistolera.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, that's
Yeah, well, and then again, your method of keeping in contact too. Like you said, you have a periodical newspaper that comes out, and they can continually hear from you and remember, okay, this is my agent who's putting this out. They hear you on the radio. I mean, there's several different ways that you're communicating with them outside of just the direct phone call. So that branding, that staying top of mind with who they are, it's an incredibly
Right.
important piece that a lot of agents are missing. And not to say that agents have to go out and figure out, how do I buy a radio station?
No,
That's
no,
not it
no.
at all.
It just happened.
But the idea, though, is the same idea, is that you just got to stay in front of your client multiple times a year. You can't just write them one time, hope it sticks. You know, like, going back to what you said, throwing a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks. It's just, you have to make sure you're following up. And yesterday's talk, when I was saying technology with automations can now also greatly help us with doing that. It can make it feel like you have an assistant, because you have
Right.
the automation set up doing all this stuff without you lifting a finger, and people are responding and saying, oh, thanks for checking in, Clarissa, I'm so happy with what's going on. Like, yeah, I'll reach out to you if I have any questions, don't worry. But you didn't have to type anything. Like, it just, the system just did it for you.
Automatically, there's those text messages that we send out also on a quarterly basis, a week before, have you ordered from your catalog? People are going to be like, oh, they care about me.
Yeah.
This person genuinely cares. And when somebody else comes and tries to sell them something, they're going to be like, let me call my agent first.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time. I have people coming into the office, hey, I got a phone call. And I'm like, wait, don't answer any phone calls. That's not for me.
Yeah.
So,
and the biggest thing, you've built a massive block in the dual industry. Talk a little bit about the persistency you've experienced because of how you do what you do. Like, tell them, because I think a lot of people think, okay, well, my persistency, if I'm in the dual market, it might be 30%, it might be 50%.
Then you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and I teach this to our agents. I say, look, you have to go out there, you have to help, you have to be present, and that is the secret to pretty much retention across all, not just DSNP, across all types of Medicare programs, even supplements. Being able to keep your face, we send out monthly letters, we send out birthday reminders, we send out, just a little bit of everything. You keep contact. People say it takes 6 contacts to have someone remember you.
Yeah.
So you do that on a persistent basis. Contact your client 6 times a year, some shape, way, or form, and you'll be able to keep them. The thing is here, I live in the poorest area of the country. Okay, I live in Starr County, where we do have the poorest city in the United States of America. So we're talking about very, very low-income people that lack proper education about insurance and financials and medical, and you're there to be their expert.
Yeah.
So as an expert, you're able to teach them things that they find of value. You have to create value for them.
Yeah.
They stick around for the value. What do? We actually have in our office 2 specialists, which we help them renew their Medicare savings programs. We help them apply for their low-income subsidy every time that renewal process comes around. We help them fill out forms. We are in such a low-income facility. The majority of the people are only Spanish speaking. So they come to our office and say, hey, can you read this for me? That's the level of value that we add, because we're like, oh, this is just your light bill.
Right.
Or, oh, this is this. And believe it or not, as crazy that it might sound to some folks that may live in metropolitan areas, in our rural area, that's basically the every day we have 50, 60, 70 people in our office with different things. And then they might have, can you please activate this? And it's like, my secretary's like, I have to activate a Visa card? But we do all these extra little things to keep them from coming back, to keep them from showing value in what you do. And I'm not saying that everybody has to go and create all of this, but if you're not finding something of value to give that client, they're going to find someone else that gives them value.
Because we are in a commodity market. Really, what we offer is a commodity. They can get it from anybody, and so you have to stand out. You have to stand out.
So these people that come to you, they may already have like a Medicare managed plan, a Medicaid managed plan through the state that offers additional things like vision and dental, but it's limited.
Yeah.
So you do have to give them something of value. Someone comes in and say, oh, I have everything zero, plus my plan might give me some form of dental, my Medicaid plan might give me some transportation. Why do I need you?
Yeah.
You have to be that extra value.
Yeah.
Maybe you present a plan that might have unlimited dental, or you present a plan that might have, X amount for glasses or this or that. But forget all of that. You are the value.
Yeah.
You are what they want. So they pretty much say, you know what? I don't care what plan you put me on as long as I'm with you.
Yeah, because they feel like you're taking care of them.
Yes, and that is the secret to, I think, the high retention. We're dealing in our office with about 90% retention. And a lot of the people that we lose, unfortunately, we do lose due to death.
Yeah.
So when that comes around, you know, in our industry, that's very common. You know, we get our reports that, you know, of clients who have died. We see it in the obituaries. I have the local newspaper, the only local newspaper that has all the obituaries. And I'm able to see, oh my goodness, you know, these clients. And then you touch base with their families, and it's all just part of that. Maybe it's because I live in a smaller community, but that's what we do in our office. So now what we're doing is we're replicating that in every single one of the markets that we're in. We figured out you have to be highly service oriented in that sense, to where you're creating value. And then now are saying, well, let's take that to a big city. If our people in rural areas like it, maybe somebody in Houston might like it too, or maybe the people that live in Houston once lived in our area, you know, and they might feel that they need that special touch. And a lot of these seniors that are at home, they may be feeling lonely, and now you're like a child to them. You're like a family. You become part of their daily life. And so what I do, and I think this is a tip that for people that are wanting to know at what point they scale, is every time that we bring in 300 to 400 new clients, we add an admin.
Awesome. That's one of the things that agents always have that question: when do I start hiring people? Like, I want to keep scaling, but at what point do I need to have extra help? Like, how much can a normal one-person agent like handle? And your blueprint, doing this 20 years, guys, okay, again, she's doing this 20 years, she has 7 offices, and she's continuing to scale. I would take her word for it. So basically, hire an admin for every 500 clients you have. So once you get to 1,000, you should have 2 admins. You get to 1,500, you should have 3 admins, right?
Yes, and one of the things that really stands out for me is the fact that I live in Stark County. There's about 80,000 people in our entire county. But our agency, we were the top sales force for this entire state of Texas for one of our carriers. So when you look at it, and you know, we have such a small location, but the biggest sales in the entire state. I mean, it's Texas. So it's like, you know, it makes us understand and feel that we're doing something that's right.
100%.
100% right.
Yeah, and again, having a persistency rate of 90% is phenomenal. So that in itself is such a great indicator that you guys are doing something right. So that, with the fact that you're growing constantly, it just all signs point to you got to keep doing what you're doing. So I congratulate you on that.
So when I hear someone say, "Oh, I don't do the D-SNP market because," and then I'm thinking, well, they're doing it. They're not doing it right.
Well,
they're not doing it.
You're just
right.
like, well, the more from me then.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Bring it my way.
That's awesome. No, this is some great information. I think agents are going to find what you just said incredibly valuable, and that's really the ultimate goal of this podcast, is that no matter who's on here, I want value to be brought so that they can take something away. So you're hearing something from a 20-year veteran in this market. I've known her a long time. Even back when I was working with her, she was a monster producer, so it's just so great to reconnect so many years later and see that you're still killing it.
You know what? You grow this love for what we do, and seeing people be appreciative of what you've done to help them. You know, when you have people that are saving $200-300 a month, and now they're telling you, they're crying, and I remember this one instance back in like 2004, and this lady was crying, and I said, "Why are you crying?" And she says, "Because now I can go to the grocery store."
Yeah.
So you are that key to someone that is needing you at the moment. And do not turn your back on the D-SNP business, because those are the people that need you the most.
Yeah, that is so well put.
Be of service to others, and the money and the clients will stay, and the money will come, and you know, your success will be there.
That's it, right? As long as we're helping people, the money will follow.
And do it with your heart.
That's it. And that's the name of the game, folks. So again, Clarissa, thank you so much for being on with me today. I know it's a busy conference and there's more stuff going on. I don't want you to miss any more, but I needed to take some time out with you because the world needed to hear from Clarissa. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video. Take care.
Hey, thanks for watching the podcast. If you like the content, please hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you can get notified when more new content comes out. We'll see you on the next one.